you need to have black kids in your life because black kids don't fuck around. Like, like if you say something ridiculous, they're gonna put you. Like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Are you sure that's what you said? And he was given multiple opportunities to clarify, and then he just did that like shutdown of like, I'm not gonna say it again. And it's like, oh, okay, authority figure. Like,
Run it back, please. Just run it
yeah,
back one more time for the culture.
yeah.
Like, he was praying they didn't have it on film. He was praying.
He told a kid to put the phone away.
Hmm.
It's and then like you don't check your six. Like, come on now, man.
I make it hard hitting. A teacher was recently fired because of a viral video of them saying he believes the white race was superior. He went on to say that he was just being honest about what everyone thought. He believes everyone secretly feels that their own racial group is the best, and he should be praised for just admitting it. Do you think that there is anything to his argument? Even if you feel differently, do you think many others are just not admitting their true thoughts? Do you think a significant number of black people feel this way? And if so, is this something likely to change? Okay, yeah. So I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but it was making me so hungry. Why should I eat those fries? I don't know if you see the video. But, there was a teacher in front of like it was like middle school students. It looked like, I guess. And he was a white guy. And there was a classroom with mixed race and with black kids in there. And he was saying that yeah, he just believed that his race, the white race, was superior. Um, and he thinks that other people feel the same way. So I'm really curious what you guys all have to think about that. Like, do you feel that this is the thing that is kind of endemic to different communities? And he was just like stating the obvious. All right, let's start with Bam. And guys, let's make the intros quick because we got a little bit of time here. All right, so Bam.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything he said was exactly true. I mean, if he was saying the quiet part out loud, we're being honest with you. I think there's a lot of people who agree with his sentiments, but I think as a society we should still push back against these ideas just to create like better futures, especially when you're dealing in educating children. That was wild, but yeah, that's
And
it.
Bam, thank you for the 5. Get the tears. That's
We
really
rich now. We making
yeah,
it rain.
rich. Yeah, yo, this is a perfect place to flex, right? My Twitch channel, perfect place to flex. GSU Gamer knows all about that, right? Like he maybe today he'll just be like flex, let people know just how well positioned he is in life, right?
Let's do it.
But yeah. Oh, yeah, he just did. Thank you for the 10 subs. That's a. And I love it. If anyone else wants to let the world know, right, how much richer they are than Bam, right? Just you again, letting you know he's twice as rich as Bam, right? If you think you're 3 times as rich as Bam, prove it right here.
10,
No,
10. Can we get 15? Can we get 15? 15 coming. 15 coming.
thank you both so much, seriously, for kind support. It means a lot. Give it, please.
Yeah, so yeah, I think white nationalists probably hang out with white nationalists, right? So it's likely that he has this perspective that, everybody thinks that race is superior because he hangs out with people with ideas that are similar to his own. I don't think most people harbor these feelings. Like I do, we understand that tribalism is definitely a thing, in-group preference is definitely a thing, but I think all of that's radically different from feelings of superiority, though. Like I have preferential things towards black people because like there's a lot of shared like oppression and a lot of like we shall overcome type stuff. But in the idea of thinking that my race is better than other races, that's wild to me. And I think that's wild to most people. And I like so there are isolated incidents of pockets of people with those type of beliefs, but I don't think it's the norm in most communities, to be completely honest.
So much. And we should that made me laugh. We shall overcome. Joe Lewis, please.
Yeah, I think it's important for individuals like him to speak his truth. I think it's very important that individuals like him speak his truth because it reveals like how uncapable white Americans are with sharing with other people. Um it's very clear that even in a school district that is predominantly non-white, you still have teachers who go to these majority non-white schools and unironically believe that their race is superior. And then they have the confidence to say that in front of their children, thinking that it's something that they harbor as well. If that is tells you anything about a culture of white supremacy, I don't know what else does. I mean, it's unfortunate that he lost his job because now people in that community have to worry about seeing him as he's ringing up your money at your favorite restaurant or taking out your trash. That's an unfortunate thing. But yeah, I mean, rest in piss, bozo.
Yeah.
Like,
But white people can take out the trash better than any other race. There you go. We'll never have better service. Let's go to Isle.
Yeah, I believe personally that I think there are lots of in-group preferences, and I think it's wild for a teacher to say that to their students because, and he should have been fired because I think it's, racism and white supremacy or any type of racial supremacy is I think should be a disqualifying factor because you want to be able to teach your kids and lead them in the ways they need to be and make sure they have the knowledge to advance to the next grade and be more well-rounded people by learning. And you can hardly do that if you actually only are truly invested in like your race of students and then all the others you think are inferior. I'm not entirely sure. There are a lot of Hispanics who think Hispanics are superior. So I mean, if there's white supremacists who think white people are supreme, then it wouldn't. I've already known that people believe that, and yeah, so it is like a very widespread opinion. I just think that it's something that is not something you should be going around spreading, especially if you're in charge of being a legal guardian for children.
Let's go to Waterkai.
So I waited a day or so because just reading the headline on this story, it already pissed me off. So I had to chill out because I knew I was going straight to the comment section. And as soon as I got to the comment section, I saw people removing the context altogether of him saying the word superior. This is a key word in this whole argument. So saying that people want to hang out with people that are like them, that would also go to the sociological issue of like people that have like minds, ideas, hobbies, the whole deal, not just your race. So people that feel that their race or religion is superior to anyone else's should be disqualified from being able to teach young people.
Thank you so much. Haj.
Yes. All right. Yeah. It's really weird because like his tone was innocuous. Like he thought that it was like a ubiquitous and common thing that everyone just thought that their race was inherently better than other races when it's clearly not. It's just something that he was just projecting on the children. Maybe that thought process is due to like a low amount of exposure to other races when he was younger during his formative years. And it's obviously a scary thing. It makes me think how many teachers in that school or in that county in that state, Texas, like see black kids and brown kids every day and then like have that thought inherently in them, and then that thought like kind of like shows itself in how they treat those kids. I don't know, I haven't confirmed this, but I heard this from like some news outlet. I think it was a Young Turks that said that the kid that recorded it actually like was trying to tell his parents, hey, I'm trying to raise my grade in so and so's class, and then ended up recording this guy and showing his parents. And then like a famous person, I think it was
His
I don't know
parents
which
was a
rapper,
famous
like, signal
person.
boosted. Oh, his dad was a famous person.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's how I got signal boosted. So I'm like, damn, how long is that teacher in that school? Like, how many kids did this teacher like kind of low key fuck over because he thought, oh, white people, European descended people are the superior race. And like that's a wild thing to think about because like he's probably not the only person in that school district or that state or the country of teachers that like have thoughts like that let those things seep out and everything like that. Kind of plays into like how racism is like a public health crisis,
And Smooth.
All right. So this man, like at first when I seen it, I thought somebody was joking. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I thought somebody was joking. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, not again. I'm like, not right now. Not right now. But he seriously said this and thought it was cool. And when you look at it, it's just that's a prevalent mindset in Texas. I'm just gonna be just straight up. Somebody that's kind of been around there a little bit, like that Arkansas, Louisiana. It's a prevalent mindset amongst other white people because they're a lot of them are racist. Just straight up, they're polite racist, but racist. There's some people that are like really bad racist, but a lot of them is polite racism. And I'm glad they fired him. No context where that would be allowed in an educational setting. Your job is to teach them. What's your subject? Is that on subject? If it's not on subject, keep it pushing. Keep all your opinions and all the extra stuff to yourself. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
All right, we got 30 minutes. Let's jump into this.
I don't know about that last statement. I think that like teachers have a lot of responsibility with children. Like honestly, I mean, as far as like daily presence, for a lot of people, teachers are going to have more spend more time with the child than
that's
your
what you're going to say. No,
I agree. His perspective, his opinion was super unwarranted. But I don't think I think it's unrealistic to expect the teacher to not like imprint like some values on children. Like we just got to decide which ones
values. Values is different than opinions. He said, I think the white race is superior. That's an opinion. I don't need your opinion. If you want to impart some good values, cool. I don't care who you are. Good values is good values. Principle is principle.
And
but what he did, that ain't no principle.
Yeah. I mean, that's why diversity is important. I do appreciate that he learned the cold hard truth about Black kids in schools, and that is it doesn't matter if you deliver your fuck shit in a very cool, calm, and collected voice. Your Black kids will clown you for it, and then not only will they clown you for it, but they will keep your foot to the fire to what you said. And that was the most amazing part of the clip because let me tell you something, not a lot of white teachers experience getting dragged by their Black students. I think that's an important growing experience that every white teacher needs to experience. They need to experience Black children dragging you on your bullshit. And I think that's an important thing that revealed to a lot of people because honestly, like I've seen how white kids behave. I've seen how white kids behave, and the way that they're taught is that when you hear something that is clearly unjustified in a classroom setting, you stay silent. You don't cause any type of friction, respect your elders. But, Black kids, we don't do that. Black kids, I have a lot of evidence to support this claim. Black kids do not let teachers off the hook when they are slighted and they are honest. And that's an important thing that I think a lot of teachers need to learn. So I think that's the silver lining in there for me.
Yeah, I give mad shout out to them kids, man. Cause I mean a lot of people in that position, you would feel kind of fear. You would feel fear of that word called of retaliation, fear of some type of retaliation, or you know what I'm saying, or retribution coming towards you. But yet you still felt empowered enough to go, you know what, I can go forward with this, and you know what I'm saying, and expose this.
So I think what I wanted to talk about was a little lost here. Like we know we have people who are like white supremacists, right? And of course, white supremacists will think that their race is superior, right? Like it's in the fucking name, right? So sure, I'm just talking about a more generalized attitude for people who wouldn't really consider to be bigoted. Do you think that this is a more common attitude on people that like they might crew is superior? Like I think the people around me, obviously I don't know, I'm not a mind reader, but I think most of the people around me don't have that feeling at all. I think
it's agreed. Since 2016, we've been seeing a lot more of it. We got to see tiki torches going off in Charlottesville over losers that lost in the Confederate War. Like, come on, we're seeing more and more of it coming to light.
But we don't have to jump to the extremism. Like I like the reason I said that, like I think that he was saying what a lot of people feel. Like the like a lot of people like, oh yeah, you know, black people deserve rights, whatever, blah blah blah, until their child brings home a little black girl, a little black boy, and now they having the conversation in the bedroom, like, oh my god, I didn't think it was gonna be Derek was black. Like how you feel about that? And then like they don't necessarily say like, oh God, I hate. They just say like, oh, maybe it's, you know, I guess if she likes him, maybe it's a phase. Who knows? Like, but I promise you, this conversation happens, and it's not from like. I don't think that their intentions are like, oh God, I hate them. They just like it goes to, I think my child could do better, or I think that this is pretty weird for us. This is going to be a
This
change.
dude, implicit bias said superior, not just that you're not comfortable with somebody of a different race dating your daughter or son.
What do you
It
think these
was
things lean into?
superiority. You can still not be comfortable with it and not think your race is superior.
I
Well,
think I think they're related.
Well, I think Bam has a point. I think these things manifest in different ways. Where, like, we got to be honest with ourselves here. That you're more likely to see a white teacher than you are to see a non-white teacher in a school setting, especially at public schools. It's disproportionately white, and you have a disproportionately white teacher body interacting with kids. And like the one thing that like I talk about this, and when I talk about adoption, is that white people need to interrogate how they feel about non-white people, and they can't wait until they bring home when they bring home a black friend. They can't wait until their kid says something out of touch to a non-white kid. And for a lot of white people, because of how apartheid worked out in America, they don't have to think about like having black kids in their schools. They don't have to think about how to navigate around that. But for black people, like we are put in a position where we must know how to interact with other racialized people. Like that's just our default. We understand how that works. And for a lot of white kids who get raised and socialized in America, they don't get those opportunities. And a lot of parents are failures. They're failures to their kids. And this is an example of a teacher who had parents who were failures, and then he became a failure. And as a failure, you do things that are unacceptable, like
Let's
telling
go.
your non-black kids that you're superior.
Let's go to Tosh.
Hey, I have a question for Joe. Yeah, I have a question for Joe. Like, I understand you're a teacher. I'm assuming high school. Like, what percent of your students like have never had a black student until they had you as a teacher? I'm just curious.
All of them.
All of them? Oh shit.
All of them. So
I was thinking you're gonna say like 80 to 70%.
So
Damn,
when it comes, so like, let's put it this way. I teach marching band, right? I'm a marching band director, and I'm the only black marching band director in my entire region. And then when I went to, there's a championship that they hold that's for the entire like circuit of the tournaments that we do and competitions that we do. I was the only and there's like this little like graduation ceremony that they do when they do awards. So there's like 32 bands of everybody in our group, and within my group, I'm the only black director. And within like my marching band kids, I'm their only black director. Like I'm their only black music teacher they've seen. And like something that like really struck with me was that like I had a student who's now a friend of mine, like I consider him a colleague. Like he told one of his teachers like, yeah, I like Mr. Lewis. And he's like, why? And it's like, because he's black. And it was a black kid. And it's like, damn, like it's really like that in my district. And like granted, we have black teachers in our district, but at the same time, like it's so important for black boys and just black people especially to see people in positions of leadership in frontward facing roles, whether it be teachers, principals, administration. And people take that for granted, but then they wonder why. But then teachers look all confused where it's like, why do all the black kids only hang out and talk about things to the black principal? Why don't they talk to me? And it's like, well, maybe there's something to that. And like it's so crucial that kids have these things. And like white people don't have to think about that, especially white women. White women do not have to think about their presence being recognized in the public education system because they don't have to think about that.
An issue I experienced was having a racist teacher. and that racist teacher would single out all the minority students to lay abuse on, throw erasers at, throw chalk at, basically dismiss, not teach properly when asked questions, make them feel stupid. So when this was brought up, my mom and my aunt went on the warpath against this teacher. Come to find out, she was raised in a racist family and she had unconscious biases. I don't know if she felt she was superior, but these things are more prevalent than we'd like to admit to, because a lot of people have unconscious bias. But coming down to superiority, I think that may be a rarity.
Well, the thing is, when we talk about unconscious bias, we're using we're using a nicer word to talk, like, to get to an idea of like tolerable bigotry. Like like there's some threshold that we like, oh, okay, like, oh, that's just what my crazy uncle says. That's, that's what my mama say when it's just me and her. But she, that doesn't mean she's not gonna go to work and do her job properly and all this stuff. But like at the end of the day, we're still talking about some level of like, oh, okay, yeah, they probably have some pretty bigoted, like a few like kind of bigoted views that probably shouldn't be public information. And I agree. I think a lot of people have those to some degree. Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
I don't think it has to be from a place of like superiority though, right? Like somebody can look at, like somebody can be entrapped by media, look at, I don't know, crime statistics or something, and they may like, I'm trying to split this hair because I think it's important, but I'm about to do a poor job of it, I think. But basically, just because negative stereotypes affects how somebody feel about a people doesn't inherently mean that they feel that their race is superior. And I know it seems like to have one you have to have the other, but I don't think that's the case. And I think a lot of people operate out of like either like a place of hate or a place of like, ignorance. But I don't necessarily think all of them feel, hey, innately my race is better. I think a lot of them feel our situation is better. And I think a lot of people look at, I think black people are equal and that's why we have to keep them down because then I'm gonna lose stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily always coming from a place of superiority.
I mean, again, I don't know if it's necessarily about superiority, but I know that they say, God, I wouldn't want to raise a family in this community, in this neighborhood,
Yeah, because they're recognizing
without ever reading a statistic. Like, they could just get a vibe, like,
No,
without ever getting online.
they don't have. We don't have to read the statistics when we live it, right? So they understand this community deals with more than my community does. So it's going to be harder for them. So if I had to raise a family in this situation, it'd be harder for me. So I'd much rather not take on that task, right? But that doesn't mean they have a feeling of superiority just because they feel that way. They're just recognizing that the socio political climate doesn't benefit black people as much, or is detrimental to black people as well, I should say. But yeah.
But we gotta recognize that like white people can make that choice for themselves. Like
sure.
overwhelming majority of like overwhelming majority of black people don't have that choice. Like that's the thing that I think like I wish people really understood about how white money moves, because I don't think people really understand that.
We don't talk about that in a little bit.
I mean, like Dave Chappelle was saying some things, but it's like let's be honest here, where white people can and have shown time and time again, where if they had to choose between dealing with the school that they're in or going somewhere else, they can choose that option. And
Yes.
a lot of black families don't have that option. They're just like wherever they're from, that's the school you go to. Where for a lot of white families, like if things aren't working the way that they should be, then and no one's really making sure that their children's plight is heard, they will pull that kid out and move.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's something else. Like
Yeah,
it's
this is a
something else.
conversation. This is a conversation that me and Polar had because Polar went through like some of the school systems like here in Atlanta. And I was talking to him about, hey, I'm gonna put my daughter in schools, and he was like, hey man, don't put her in like just the best school. He was like, don't do that because I went through that with his sister, and his sister went through some things because they were at like a predominantly white school, because their parents had the ability to put them there, but she didn't get the best treatment and stuff. So like a lot of people don't understand like you can have infinite money and you can't escape some of these problems because most likely the environment you put your kid in is going to be anti-black as well. So yeah, it's complicated, man. School is very, very complicated.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I mean, I hate to do this. I know we're not supposed to, and I see debate board saying really cool things about me, but I kind of want to address something that Ravender said because he said that people with money choose better schools, not just white people. Some of the school districts in question, almost, I think it's something like 50 or 60% of those students in that district are economically disadvantaged. So if I'm a student in a school like that, and I hear my teacher saying that he believes that his race is superior, and I'm a parent, it's reasonable to believe that a parent's only option in a situation like that is to keep the kid in the classroom and then hope the district does a good job in finding a replacement. And that's not to mention like the learning loss is going to happen when they have to go through the substitute process, because we do have a substitute shortage in the United States. So firing a teacher in the middle of the school year, in the middle of the second semester, is probably not the best thing to do. So you're going to have a situation where students who are already on their back foot educationally, they have a teacher who said some fuck shit, got fired for it justifiably, but now we're going to have to wonder, okay, what's going to happen to that class for the rest of the year? And
Yeah.
that, like, are they going to find a replacement in a timely fashion, or are they going to do like a lot of schools do and kick the can? And if you're a parent, like, what do? You don't have the same type of resources that other students have, because you know goddamn well that if it was son, like I know this is like the Sanso thing of invoking trans people and all your arguments, but if you were a
Yeah.
teacher that like was trans and you had an LGBTQ flag and you had like pro trans stuff all over your wall, and then you get that white mother who doesn't really go down with that, they'll pull that kid out immediately. And they'll pull that kid out immediately and find a different place for them to go. And that's something that black kids don't have. We don't have that.
Yeah.
We're poor.
Yeah, I think
Like,
whatever that comment you read is laced in like just I think ignorance of like what happens. Like I know several black people that are in the top like small percentages in terms of like income. And I've had this conversation with a lot of like, are we gonna put our kids in the best school? And you just can't do it. You can't risk it. Like there's too much damage that happens sometimes to kids that are in those situations. So the idea that just because you have money, you can always opt to put your kids in the best school is a white centric view of education. Like,
well,
That's
I
a-
think that
I was just
Go
gonna say
for
that's
it, bro.
really, I know, I and you can go back into it. I just think that's
Yeah.
really interesting. It's not something. I mean, I guess like it's something like I've realized, but not internalized. You know, because I don't have a kid, and it's not like a decision I'm facing. And I don't got money, so that's the decision I'm not facing. But yeah, that's super interesting. Maybe something we have to
Yeah.
dig into deeper in some other
yeah,
time.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I can't be called out to the school because kids are calling my daughter niggas. Like that shit would end up terribly bad for a lot of people.
yeah.
So like
well,
I can't.
I mean, again, but like think about it this way, right? Where, and I mean, I'll ask you because you have kids, right? Is that
Mhm.
if you're in an area that is predominantly white, would you make the decision to move your child into an area where there's more black people?
Probably so, for sure.
Yeah.
Without a question.
Yeah. With a lot of white parents don't do that, and they never interrogate
Exactly.
that. Like they never
They never have
interrogate like their space, because like if you, and here's the thing, like if you want a solution, because I know people think that all black people doing these panels is complain, like here's a solution that white people can do right now. You can interrogate your social circle and ask the question, is my social circle diverse? Is my social circle diverse for the sake of my children? And if it's not, then you have to ask a really tough question. Am I willing to move for the sake of my children? And for a lot of black people, they can't do that for a myriad of reasons. But a lot of white people can, and they've shown that they can. And very often, parents will not, for so many arguments of lineage and convenience and job convenience and all these other factors, they're not going to move for the sake of their kids so that their kids have a diverse educational environment. And it's fucking up this country. Like, it's just like, if we're trying to be an integrated society, it's not the onus of the people who are at the bottom to integrate with others. It's the onus of the people at the top to integrate. And I'm sure we haven't done that. And
Al,
like,
oh my bad.
go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, Al, what's the conservative blacks got to say about this?
You're asking me?
Yeah, you the representative.
Oh, okay. Well, I wouldn't
Speak for
call
your people.
myself the conservative black representative, but I can tell you the Iowa representative. I think no, because I really do impart a lot of importance in education. That's why I feel that the teachers definitely should have been fired, because you can't have a teacher who is in charge of a classroom, in charge of sculpting the minds and making sure that these children are getting the best education that they can possibly impart, so that they can, be ready for the next grade and whatever, and all the things that happen after they leave the classroom. If they're like literally openly a white supremacist, because then how are all the non-white students going to feel and act and behave?
What about free speech?
Well, I mean, he has free speech, right?
Yeah, he has free speech. It's just he's
No,
just not
but
that
No one said he couldn't say it, but nobody said we couldn't do anything about it.
Sure.
freedom.
Yeah.
You're gonna cancel
I've
him?
heard.
You cancel
I mean,
culture
no,
shocks
but
again.
this
That
has
was
been
a
said.
self-cancellation.
Yeah,
It's been
you
said
know,
a million times. Like, you have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom of consequence. You can
And-
say
and-
stuff crazy, but when push comes to shove, the people are going to decide. All right, and that's what it is.
Are
know
you
what I'm
sure
saying?
it's the people or it's never mind?
But the
I mean,
people,
I
the
wanna give
people,
props.
the people,
No,
as
no,
in,
no. I'm making a reference to the next topic. I'm joking. It's
Oh.
a pure meme. Pure meme.
Stop it.
We know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
For real.
No,
Big up
because
to the
God.
one
makes
kid
sense.
that
because you must
said,
be careful.
the one
Yeah,
kid
and-
that asked the question, "Are you racist?" because you say that. I appreciate that kid.
What's that?
Yeah.
He
Yo,
shoulda-
those kids handle that so well. Those kids,
Yes.
sixth graders, or
Black
seventh
kids
graders?
know how to behave.
Those kids handled it so fucking well. Like, damn.
They knew they had him dead to rights. That's why they handled it so well. They're like, we
And the
got you.
thing is too,
Like, please say the quiet thing out loud. Please say it.
and listen, this is why you need to have black kids in your life, because black kids don't fuck around. Like if you say something ridiculous, they're gonna put you like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Are you sure that's what you said? And he was given multiple opportunities to clarify, and then he just did that like shutdown of like, I'm not gonna say it again. And it's like, oh, okay, authority figure. Like,
Run it back, please. Just run it back one more time for the culture.
yeah.
He was praying they didn't have it on film. He was praying.
He told a kid to put the phone away.
Mhm.
It's, and then like you don't check your six. Like, come on now, man.
I just want to know how that like meeting with the principal and like the school board went. Like, as soon as he sat down, like, come on.
Oh, they do those. They do those
you know how
decisions.
that went. You know how that went. He got in the room. He got in the room. He's like, shut the door behind you. Like, everybody's in there. He's like, God damn it. He's like, why did you do this? He's like, we're halfway through the school year.
They just
Yeah,
asked
it's
me a
hard.
What you want
question.
to do?
Yeah, Tara's having a. I love, man. This is why I love Prime's chat, because there's so many reactionaries who just like hear what people say and they say cool things. Whereas it seems like Tara's having a lot of trouble understanding, like, maybe parents need to diversify their social circles before they have children, because maybe there's more at stake than just loving a kid.
Well,
It's really
Joe,
cool.
I had an issue with that because when I was growing up, my first friend in life was Japanese. And his parents had a long-standing agreement with my parents that he was only going to be friends with me until about the time he hit high school. And then at that point, he would have exclusively Japanese friends. So all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, can we come over? And no.
What?
Like, what is that? It sounds. You're a
Damn.
victim. It sounds like a terrible situation. I don't know what the problem is with that.
That's
That
the
sounds.
reality, because they wanted they wanted to integrate and like have the experience of him experiencing other races, but ultimately wanted him to be with his own race.
So you was like a practice for him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And they
Well,
found
every
out.
kid on the block was black. He was the only Japanese kid on the block. There was maybe one or two Hispanic kids, but they weren't around very often. So it was like 4 black kids and him. And eventually we weren't allowed to come in. He would always say, oh, there's too many people in my house. We can't let you in. They were very polite about it to where we wouldn't even understand it.
I don't know why you didn't understand that.
Yeah, my thing is,
we
like,
got a building code now, all right? We got the
we
fire
got
department is
the
going to get called on
like-
us, I have to tell you.
Well,
Gonna let you develop a 10-year relationship with a friend and pull him away.
So when you're
And
best
also
friends throughout your
question.
entire life, all of a sudden within like 2 times of that happened, it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, so and I think that's part of the question too. Like, do you think there might be like in those parents? Like, do you think they might have thought that their Japanese culture was superior? Were they Japanese supremacists or something? You think if they're like literally saying that black kids can't even be their son's friend anymore in high school?
No, they just felt we were incompatible.
Yeah, isn't that like a sign of supremacy? Like you're not even compatible. You can't,
It can be
Not
considered a
necessarily.
sign, but not necessarily. You can just think we're better off with our own. We need to help our own. We need to understand our own. But you also need to know who else is in the pool, and you need to understand how they work and think.
Yeah,
And it's
you can
really devious and horrible, but I understand it.
Yeah, I would
They're
say
one of
it's,
two homogenous societies. So when you look at the Israeli society and you look at the Japanese society, they are wholly homogenous societies. They don't welcome foreigners.
Yeah, I have a question for Lee. Like,
Go ahead.
Dang, that what you call it is crazy.
Ash?
Oh, I thought somebody was
oh,
going to go
he's
back.
still on last topic. He's a philosopher.
Yeah,
No, so no. I
question,
legitimately
quick question for Lee.
You got a
Like,
question.
thought I was
I
gonna
don't know
come
if
back
you've
with
seen.
Ash.
Taj
Okay,
has
so
terrible background.
I have-
Finish.
I'm listening.
Yeah, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, I don't know, like, if you've seen this before, but do you think that, like, the Japanese kid, do you think his parents would have let him hang around white kids, just
No,
not black
not
kids?
at all. It would only be Japanese kids.
Oh, really? Damn, I've never heard of that shit.
No,
Okay.
I have.
This is just like
That's
no,
not
no
He
uncommon,
black
though.
kids, but
only
it's
had
like,
exclusively Japanese friends over after, I want to say 13, 14.
Were there other Japanese people
oh
near
wow.
your
I remember I had a
community?
guy in East Friend growing up, and like in the neighborhood, like the neighborhood kids, all the other neighborhood kids were allowed inside of our house. But whenever I was inside of our house, they would kick me out, and I was the only black kid. They let the white kids in.
Really?
And I didn't realize that till like years
Oh,
later. I was like,
what?
bro, that is really
Yeah, that's
fucked
the
up.
thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
Well,
that's
when you grow up with someone,
like
you
they
don't
be
think
eating
that.
the food and shit, and I try to have like one Oreo, and they'd be like, too many people, get out. And I'd be like, oh, damn.
Specifically you,
Like,
Taji. Own home.
yeah, the white kids, like the white redneck kids, were allowed inside the house, but I wasn't allowed in for some reason. I was like,
Yeah.
what best behaved person in that group?
It's weird. It's weird,
whatever.
Taj,
Well,
because I live up north and I have like almost the same experience. I used to live in Rochester, and for some reason we had like these complete fucking rednecks living behind us, and like we're kids, we go outside, we play. But Jesus fucking Christ, if we weren't allowed to touch they fucking chickens, we weren't allowed to play with they kids' toys. But like Jesus Christ, if they were allowed to play with all our shit, it's just weird as fuck the way that turned out.
It's just
Yeah.
Hey,
so
Pyro, I'm digging
odd.
that
It's just
sweater.
so
I just
fucking
want to tell you.
odd.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had to get my winter sweater out. We got the fucking snowpocalypse up here. It like in less than an hour, it just turned to like pure white Mitt Romney elements in here. So I'm just like trying to survive.
Where are you
Mitt
from?
Romney, the whitest thing you can think of.
I'm from New York.
Okay.
Damn.
Nice.
Well, I mean, I think that we need to. I mean, I don't know how much time we have on this left, but it's like I think we need to like not forget that like different communities in America are going to adopt different survival strategies in the face of like a lack of integration. And it's very because what happens is people try to do like the white analogous thing where it's like, but if a white person did that, you'd call them racist. But if a Japanese person does that, you'd call like you'd say, and it's like we can understand that different groups will navigate in the face of like what's at stake for their kids in different ways. But white Americans have had a history of being exclusatory because they believe that they are superior and they won't say it outright, but they'll navigate in certain ways. Like they'll assume that the black kid is the one that's causing the ruckus in the classroom. They'll assume that the like there's just an infinite number of stereotypes and things that manifest in settings that like white people have shown like they're just not down to integrate.
Prime
And
disagrees.
But I think
He sees my face. I fucking what? Like we can understand that. Like just taking from the story as Bam gave it to us, right? That like, or was it no? It was Waterkai. I can't tell black people apart. It just has he gave it to us. Like that was like bigoted, right? What the Japanese family did. Like we're not making excuses for that. Like I don't give a shit. They're a marginalized
Well, what-
community.
yeah.
What they did
Sure,
was bigoted.
but we can recognize that decision that a private individual makes, those people don't actually have political power. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, is that white people have shown they've had the political power to be exclusatory towards other racialized people. And
Well,
whether it be they'll legislate it or they'll school board it. And
well,
that's it's rough.
I think what Prime is saying, and that all of this topic like relates to the next topic, but there are minority groups that are as anti-black as whites, and when they
Yes,
act in that anti-blackness,
absolutely.
I definitely don't think we should give them excuses because it's politically, more viable for them or politically more enticing for them. I think that type of anti-blackness it's the
Yeah.
same as
Yes, I'd agree with that for sure.
I think it really just depends on the country you're talking about, because like a lot of, and this isn't specifically to Asian, this is to a lot of countries, especially countries that are like more sort towards the developing world, can, instead of racial superiority, like whenever they see white people and Americans like into their country, like they roll out the red carpet, like, oh boy, like we finna come up,
Well,
but
because people see how white people move like that. I wish people like really just came to terms with how rich white people actually are in so many areas of activity. And then if I'm
Mm.
somebody coming into this country and I see how white people move, I'm like, I want that for my kids. Like, you fucking kidding me? Like, and that's why, but at the same time, it's an institutional problem. Like, white people move in this way, and money moves in white families in this way because of the institutions. And until those
Yep.
things change, like, they're
yeah, like I had a client recently that ended up he just took a flight to Bangkok. And he was saying that he was talking about how like, yeah, everybody over there just assumes I have money. And I'm like, well, you're from America. I was like, I look at the average flight to like Thailand, and it was like $8,000. Like, and this was like, it was like
$8,000, but like it's a lot of money.
well, he flew first class.
Fuck me.
Yeah,
Oh, he does
yeah.
have money. What the fuck? What?
But yeah, he does. No, the point is he had money, but he was like, how did they assume that? And I was like,
that should have been like 14K or something.
Motherfucker,
I was talking about average.
You rolling through. Hold on. And like there's a lot of like tourism and sex tourism that goes to Bangkok. They know what kind of people show up. And like
Yeah,
Bangkok,
well, as soon as
like,
they hear that American
some white guy
accent,
shows up. What are they looking for? They got it. They got an idea. Like,
Bangkok is a specific thing. Like it's a specific place that people go for.
those people ain't
mention
stupid.
them.
Those people ain't stupid. All right.
That's why Prime went. He never mind.
No, I haven't gone, but I would like to go. Actually, I'd actually no. Seriously, this is the actual like real thing. When I was younger, right, I saw the Mortal Kombat movie, right, the original Mortal Kombat movie, and at the very start, if you guys remember that, right, if you're old enough, or if you've seen it afterwards, at the very start, there is Liu Kang's brother gets killed, right? Do you remember that? He gets killed in front of a temple. And as a kid, I'm like, I saw that temple. I'm like, well, that's like movie magic. Obviously, there's nothing like that exists in real life. Because I'd never seen a building like that ever, right? Like, oh, they just like CG'd it or whatever the fuck. But it's real. Like that temple is actually real. And I've always wanted to go. Once I found out like in college, that was a real place. And it's always been on my bucket list. I have tried multiple times to go to Thailand because I've traveled around the world. If you're newer here, you don't know that about me. I travel around the world. I've gone to lots of different places. But every time I go, right, Thailand has another coup. Like, look at the political history of Thailand. They have like coups on a regular basis. Like, you can like set your watch by it.
14 in the last 20 years. They had,
14.
It's
a ridiculous amount of coups. I'm serious. It's unbelievable. So I'm like, and every time it happens, like, I don't want to go.
Bro, so hold on, wait. I want to make sure I understand this. You're trying to get me to believe that you want to go to Thailand because of some sensation with the Mortal Kombat movie instead of their bigger market.
Yo, shut the fuck up, Gambit. You messed
up for that one, Gambit. I'm joking.
You fucked up for that one, Gambit.
That's why I can't go to Thailand, because I don't even want people to think that that's possible. So I can't.
Okay.
I'll never go
right there though. Like,
you're not secure enough in your masculinity to just go to
I'm
Thailand.
not. No, yeah, be cool. I'm not. I'm definitely not.
Because I absolutely
man.
Let's go.
So
Prime, have you ever brought the walk to Poland?
walk to
Prime don't know what you're talking about.
Walk
Leave that
to
man
Poland.
I
alone.
got it. I got it.
I didn't know what even be said. Walk to Berlin.
The walk to Poland.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have not a clue.
I'm just dying.
As usual, I'm out of the loop.
Okay, never mind.
Got my old man vibes going on right now. I have no
Look at
idea
some
what the fuck is happening.
walks in the chat, people.
Okay, all right.